always there. Yep. It depends on which volume do you decide to pull and to turn up. Yeah. And as a life coach, my job is to help turn up that heart voice so that people can actually live into their passion, their purpose. And like you said, hope. Like as a leader, we are the dealers of hope. If you know that there's people out there who need to hear your message, there's people out there who are struggling right now and they need hope. Yeah. You're going to get out there and you're going to crush it every single time, no matter what your head voice says. But remember, the head voice is usually louder. So you have to start training to look for your heart voice. And that's what we do.
How many times have we shared the after picture without sharing how long the journey was? This is something that if you are willing to fall on your face, you can do it. The question is, are you willing to get back up? My name is Josh, and I'm your push coach. I'm the #1 best-selling author of F Leadership, and for the last 6 years, I've helped over 40,000 entrepreneurs to take ownership of their businesses and create tangible results that have changed their businesses and lives forever. Let's dive in. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Your Push Coach. Again, my name is Josh. I'm your push coach, and I am back with Mr. Marc Hildebrand, who is the co-creator of my life coach certification. He's also the master coach inside my 6 months to 6 figures program. And then we also run some marketing and mastery stuff together for our certified life coaches. So we are continuing the conversation from a few days ago. If you have not already listened to that episode, make sure and go check it out. I don't know why I just went into radio voice. I'm talking real fast. I dare you. I double dog dare you to turn the speed up to 1.5 on one of my calls and see what happens. See if you can still keep up. And if you can, that's really cool. Marc, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
You're welcome, my man. You're welcome. So we're picking up where we left off from our last conversation, but let's give just like a real quick recap of mentoring versus coaching.
For sure. So mentoring is you're helping people through things that you've been able to accomplish yourself. You're using your past, the things that you've been able to learn and grow through. You're giving people actions. You're just putting them in that environment to give them the information to see if they're going to take action on it. And life coaching is really getting to the what we're going to talk about today, like getting to the true belief, making sure that they understand that they're worthy of it, make sure that they can plug into their heart voice to get them to take action. Right. So life coaching is that thing that unlocks them for their full potential so they can go out and take those actions, where mentoring is just like, hey, here's the things that I've been able to accomplish. Here's what I did to get here. And if people don't get there, we can kind of like hold it against ourselves and not realize that it's actually the limiting beliefs. It's actually the stories they have in their head. And how we help them overcome that is through life coaching.
Love that. Love that. So let's talk about the philosophy behind life coaching. So let's go into, more of like what we call true coaching. Life coaching is a more popular word for it. We like to call it true coaching because that's just kind of like separates it when we're using the word coaching. But let's talk about the philosophy behind that.
Yes. I know I kind of talked about this on the last podcast, but I remember when you brought up this philosophy of belief drives behavior. Belief drives behavior. It kind of took me back a second, and I'm like, wait, what does he mean? And what I didn't realize is when people were telling me to take action, when people were giving me the steps, sometimes my brain would like convince myself to actually take those actions. And sometimes it didn't. And so what I didn't realize is that your belief, what you believe, the stories, the words that are coming here across your head or in your head, they either get you to take certain actions or get you to not take certain actions. And we're going to talk about head versus heart a little bit later, but ultimately it's your belief drives your behavior. You're taking action or you're not taking action is fundamentally, you can go back in here and you can find what caused you to take those actions or to not take those actions based off of the voice that you're focusing on.
Yeah, I love that. And then, obviously, we're going to get into some of our specific philosophies that we have created together around life coaching. But one of the things I like to bring up about the philosophy of coaching is that it is not giving people answers that you already have. It is asking questions to make the person you are talking to the center focus of what's going on. And that's the unfortunate part of mentoring is with mentoring, we usually make ourselves the primary focus. Here's what I did. Here's how many times I did it. And here's what worked. And here's what didn't. And like, again, that's good. It's great. Like, obviously, when I'm teaching marketing, it's important for me to have done that before I tell people, but it's not the end game. Coaching takes it to a different level where it's like, okay, we're going to flip this conversation and now have a conversation about you, not about me. So this really personalizes the experience. Kind of like you talked about in the last episode. I taught the workshop on hosting webinars and workshops, and people showed up on Saturday with 20 different reasons for why they were struggling to take action. So mentoring could not have possibly fixed that.
Mm-hmm.
You needed to know what are the 20 different reasons people aren't taking action so we can coach through those things and fix these beliefs so that people can go take action. So what are some of the specific things that coaching can tackle that just gets completely, like, in other words, if someone is out there mentoring and not coaching, what are some of the things that are just getting completely missed or overseen?
Roadblocks. So when you have not only your own personal roadblocks, but when you find that you're speaking to somebody and there's a roadblock, there's something in their path. When you don't understand the philosophies of life coaching, you can't actually help them jump over that roadblock. It's kind of like you're going against it over and over and over and over again. And both you and them sometimes become resentful about it. Yeah. And then they also, this is something we did bring up last time, they also start making it mean something about them because they're not getting results. Right. And so I like what you just talked about a second ago is so critical, not just in coaching, but in leadership as well. And that is like, I have to really connect to what that person wants and what's holding that specific person back, right? As a leader, if I'm up here just like barking orders and I'm not actually attaching it to this person's why or their values or making them live outside of their values in order to succeed, like I'm not going to lead them the right way. I'm going to be forcing stuff. But as a life coach, I ask great questions that have them come to their solutions. And as a result of them coming to it, not only do they have more buy-in, I actually help them see what's holding them back so they can actually jump over it and stop allowing it to hold them back. And it really doesn't have anything to do with me, even though I know everybody's like, oh my God, thank you so much for that. It's me just asking questions. It's a skill that I've developed that I love to do. So I like to do it a lot, but it really just helps people kind of like unlock that. And if you don't have that, you're going to make it mean something about you or make the other person that you're trying to coach or lead is going to make it mean something about them. And it's not, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. And here's another really big mistake that most people make when they don't know, like when you don't know how to coach, the only thing you know how to do is draw on your own experience. So when you come across these roadblocks, instead of coaching them and asking questions and digging deeper, what most people do is, well, I remember when I wasn't motivated and here's what I did. And the crazy thing about that you can really only learn and discover through life coaching and asking better questions is the thing that people tell you is holding them back is almost never the actual thing that's holding them back. It's almost always 2 or 3 levels deeper, and you can only find that. So the thing I like to say is like when you only know how to mentor, you never even get to the root problem. You just keep trying to fix this surface level problem. Like someone saying they're not motivated is almost always like, I don't have clarity, or I don't have, like sometimes it's like time management stuff. Sometimes there's like 10 other things that motivation could actually be trying to describe. And they're just not self-aware enough to realize that. Like no one says, I'm just lazy. Like no one says that. Like, so what we do is we try to make up stories for the things that we're feeling. And that's almost never the real thing that we're actually dealing with internally. So even if you're really good at like motivating people and inspiring people, if you're addressing the wrong thing, it doesn't really matter. And that's to me, like that's the big aha is like mentors are literally out there spending thousands of hours fixing the wrong problems.
Right.
And then frustrated when it doesn't work. And it's like, if you could just like figure out how to dig deeper, we could finally address the right problem. And maybe in that case, some mentoring could be good and could be helpful if you were actually mentoring along the right thing versus the wrong thing.
100%. Like you were saying, like it's a mixture of both. You don't want to go fully into either one, but you can realize like when you're actually in mentoring or teaching mode and there's something that's actually preventing them. We call it causal coaching for a reason too. It's like we're getting to the actual root cause, which like you said, it is never that I don't have time. It is never that I don't have, money, or it's never that I need more motivation. You ask questions and really it's just curiosity. You get curious about, tell me more about that. And you ask a series of questions to find out what's actually holding them back. And you find out it's nothing even related to that.
Right.
Our head, I like to think of it this way. Our head voice is like one IQ, like less smart than our heart voice. It will do whatever it can to make you go back into no taking action, being comfortable, like not putting yourself in that environment. It will throw anything it can. And what it knows is it knows your past experiences and what has gotten you in the past to not take action. And unfortunately, it plays dirty, which is why we got to play dirty too. We got to really pull out that heart. And when we can help people understand that that's what's happening, it gives them that moment of going, oh yeah, I remember the last time I thought this way. And that did not lead me down that path. I'm going to go this way. And it's those little micro things that like literally give you like incredible results, but then also you get to unlock that for other people too.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. It's so beautiful. So we use this thing in our life coach certification. This is something that me and Marc kind of put together. Just put our heads together. It was a kind of a combination of things that Marc learned and done versus some things that I done. And we kind of put it together. We were like, let's create a method or a system that's a little bit more of a step-by-step. One of the things that I actually learned, a method called Tagaro, which is essentially just asking curious questions until we dig deep enough to find what's going on. The only issue with that is some people don't have the conversational confidence that I have. That might be a new term. Conversational. I can just talk to anybody, any stranger, anywhere, anytime. And that's actually one of the ways that I practiced coaching when I first learned, was just literally trying it in every conversation I had. But we wanted to have something that's a little more duplicatable, that anybody could just kind of like more of a plug and play system. So we created something called the push method. That's what we'll be talking about in our 2-day event, is kind of introducing you to the push method. So don't forget, go to joshcoates.com/lifecoach if you're interested in joining us for a 2-day event to learn how to like actually use this. We're not going to lay out the whole push method for you on this podcast because it is a little hard to do without slides. It's a podcast. There's no slides, right? But what I do want to dig into is what it is built around, which is kind of this thing we created called head versus heart. So why don't you share with them a little bit about the head versus heart philosophy that we have, that we built everything else around?
Yeah. And the head versus heart, man, that was pure genius on your part. I don't want you to give me any credit for that, because that was amazing. So like, I think fundamentally understanding what our head is here like to do first is important before we go into head versus heart. So your head is, your brain like is actually built for 2 primary reasons. Number one is to keep you safe. Like, it doesn't want you to die. It doesn't want you to do anything new. It doesn't want you to go out into the savannah because you might be eaten by like, I don't know, a saber-toothed tiger. Or if you do something that the group doesn't align with, they're going to push you out. And then caveman type, times, you're not going to be able to survive, right? So your brain is wired to keep you safe, but it's also wired to like make your life a little easier. It's like helps you with like repetitions. Can you imagine if we had to think about like all the things we had to do this morning to get to where we are? Right. Have you ever been like where you're driving, you start to go into work, you get to work and you're like, I have no idea how this happened. Well, that's because your brain, it wants to conserve as many calories as it can. It wants to make your life easier. Yeah. When you pair those two up, when you're trying to be safe all the time, and then your brain wants to kick in and have like a limiting belief that wants to prevent you from taking action, and you're doing it consistently, it like literally flows through everything. You don't even realize it exists. All right. Now, when you're thinking about this is where like when your head starts to get into like, you have thoughts of fear or insecurity, of scarcity, of lack, of like shame, guilt, humiliation. All of those things are not great leaders. All right. And it's not great to do to others, but it's really not great to do for yourself. Anytime that comes up, that is a voice of your head. It's trying to keep you safe. And most likely it's going to be the same flavor that has always tried to keep you safe your entire life. The second place where we can have this voice that talks to us is our heart. When Josh first talked about this, I mean, like he was talking about this way before we haven't had the push method. And that is like your heart, it doesn't speak as loud, but it is freaking powerful. Yeah. It is the voice of purpose, of potential, of hope, of love, of the future, of what we can create, right? Where our head is like trapped in the past. Well, we've done these things in the past and we've been safe, so we've got to keep doing those same ones. You can never think about doing something new, right? I like to coin this as, me being a parent. Like if I were to let's say talk to my son and my son's like, Dad, I want to be an entrepreneur when I grow up. Like I want to help people do this, this, and this. My response is going to be immediately heart because he's my son, right? I don't have any limiting beliefs about him. I'm like, you are going to be so powerful. This is going to help so many humans. This is going to be incredible. I can't wait to be standing next to you while you blow past me.
Yeah.
But if I now run that through my filter, hey, I want to create something new. You know what happens? My head. Yeah. This is what happened to me because I'm a police sergeant, right? It's like, well, you're a police sergeant. You already have a good pension. Like you're a little bit too old to learn something new. Like who's going to listen to you on social media? Like all of these things kind of come up from my past to try to get me stuck. But when I realize that's my head voice, I can ask myself a powerful question to get into my heart because the heart and head are always there. Yep. It depends on which volume do you decide to pull and to turn up. Yeah. And as a life coach, my job is to help turn up that heart voice so that people can actually live into their passion, their purpose. And like you said, hope. Like as a leader, we are the dealers of hope. If you know that there's people out there who need to hear your message, there's people out there who are struggling right now and they need hope. Yeah. You're going to get out there and you're going to crush it every single time, no matter what your head voice says. But remember, the head voice is usually louder. So you have to start training to look for your heart voice. And that's what we do.
Right. And that's, dude, we are so passionate about this head versus heart. And I don't know what it is about the terminology. Like Marc said, it's kind of a terminology that I created maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. I still have the original graphic that I put together. I don't remember exactly. I guess I could check Canva. And we're really passionate about this because this is something very specific to our coaching process that nobody else is talking about. And it's not that I don't want to make it sound like no one else is teaching true coaching because me and Marc both learned true coaching from other programs, but there's just something really, really plain and clear about the head versus heart that we turned into this thing called the push method, where probably the most fun thing in the world. And I wish we had slides via podcast so that we could show you how this works. But probably the coolest thing in the world is when we first teach it to people, because there's a graphic that goes with it. The way I learned coaching at the end of a session, it was really powerful. People were like, oh my God, thank you so much for that. But they kind of had no idea what had just happened, right? They still loved it. They still were happy to pay to get more of that. But they kind of walked away. Like you could say they walked away literally needing more of me because they knew nothing about what just happened. They just knew it was awesome, right? Versus what we created, we actually teach our coaches to pull out the graphic and walk people through the different elements of what's happening in their head and what's happening in their heart. And it's kind of the difference between when I would go to the chiropractor and they would crack me, fix some things, and I would feel better, but I didn't really know why. Versus the current chiropractor that I go to, he pulled out the x-rays, showed me exactly what was wrong, why it was wrong, specifically what we would be working on. And there was just a clarity and a confidence that came with understanding, of course, in layman's terms, what was actually happening. And our push method takes this head versus heart and it literally puts it on display so that you can see exactly what's happening. And I think what that really does is it helps people to walk away and go, I'm not as messed up as I thought I was. I'm not a crazy person. I just have these two things on the inside of me. And now I know what those two things are. And there's a clarity and a confidence that comes from just that feeling of I'm not crazy. Because everyone feels crazy, right? Yep. We feel crazy because the reality is there is an internal battle being fought every single day between your head and your heart. Now, I grew up really religious, as many of you know, and I kind of was told that all of that was evil forces. And I'm not denying evil forces. I'm not trying to fix or change anyone's theology about what's happening in the world. But as far as what's happening inside of us, I kept thinking it was evil powers trying to keep me from God's will. And the reality is just my own head. And so when you realize that it is you in a sense, but not the real you, it's not your identity. I think we get it confused. Like, we've got these past voices and experiences. We think that's our identity, and it's not. It's just our pre-programming. Our identity can only be found through our heart. And once you realize that, you feel free, you feel powerful, you feel amazing. And I also feel like you feel like you finally have a choice. I like to say that without understanding how your internal wiring works, in a sense, you kind of are a slave to your past. Mm-hmm. And that sucks, right? Because everyone in this world has something powerful that they want to do with their life. But if you're a slave to your past, I'm going to go like a little bit deeper here, Mark. In my opinion, this is why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Because the rich are passing on some of these beliefs of, you should be at the top of your class, you should get the best job. And so, of course, sometimes there's some trainings and some disciplines that come with that, right? But, I grew up very poor. And so the belief was passed on to me, we don't get the good jobs. We don't even try to go to college. Like, we don't. And as long as that's the belief that's stuck in you, kind of like what we talked about with the belief drives behavior, I won't even try. Like, I won't even attempt to get better things, even though they were right there all along. I just didn't know that it was for me.
That is so powerful. It actually brought up another thought that I was, that I really help a lot of coaches do. And that is like, when you find like your head voice, when you find those trapped things, so many people get focused on like determining how it was created and why it was created and all. They spin their wheels. Yeah. When you understand that that's the way it is, because that's the way your brain is created. You have a human brain like the rest of us, right? Yeah. You can release that, because really going back and thinking about like, how is this limiting belief trap? Like, how is this? That is not going to help you. When you're focused on the problem, you know what you get? More problems. Yeah. When you focus on the solution, guess what you get? More solutions. And it doesn't have anything to do with the outside. One of the things that you're talking about here is like ownership, right? Yep. As a leader, I talk about that a lot, like taking ownership. You don't take ownership so you can beat yourself up with it. You take ownership because if you can control the things you can control, you can even control the things that you can't. Yep. And that is powerful, because you're no longer the victim. You're like, okay, brain, I understand you're trying to go that way, but guess what? I'm going this way. And when you have that level of ownership that you can take, you can actually go out there and create what you want to create in the world.
Yeah. I love it. That's so powerful, guys. So we want to thank you for tuning in, guys. Again, remind you that you can go to joshcoates.com/lifecoach, and you can get signed up to get more information about our life coaching certification. We're doing a 2-day virtual event. Marc is actually coming here to Tulsa. We're going to do it from my house together. We're going to put you into breakout rooms on Zoom. We're going to teach you some actual coaching elements and let you do some like hands-on coaching to, one, see how powerful it is, and two, find out if you even like it. You know what I mean? Like, I wish the education system was a little bit more like this. Let's get you to go put your hands on 10 different career paths and see what you actually like. We want to give that to you. Like, we don't want you to just blindly sign up for coaching to become certified, not really knowing what you're getting into. We want you to come experience it, learn about it. And you know what? If you decide not to join our certification, you still got some really powerful stuff that you can go use to help your clients, to help your team, whatever that is. And if you're like, yo, this is literally the game changer for me, then of course there'll be an opportunity to join the certification. So Marc, thanks for hanging with me, man. I appreciate you.
I'm pumped to see you next week. I like, people are going to have their minds blown. Other places are not doing this, where we're literally going to help you practice this skill, to see that it's simply a skill. It has nothing to do with your worth or what you know or able to know, what you've been able to accomplish right now. Yeah. We're going to give you like that thing that's going to be able to unlock it. So I can't wait for that. People aren't doing that. Like, I'm pumped about what it's going to be like.
Dude, that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because I do think that that's something we hear a lot is, well, how am I going to coach people if I haven't already been successful? Mm-hmm. And that's the beautiful thing about, so mentoring, you do need to have some success to be able to pass on what you've done that worked. Mm-hmm. Coaching is completely different, because coaching, we're no longer dealing with what we have experience with or what we have done. We're simply helping other people to unlock the things that are holding them back from what they know to do. So I'm so glad you brought that up as we close this out, because I want to make sure that if you've got that limiting belief, well, I don't know if I can coach because I haven't been, like, this isn't some type of a thing for the people that are already successful. I learned life coaching when I was still detailing jobs full time. And this is what made me successful, is because I now had this tool that I could use to help people without having my own experience. And that's how I was able to create a 6-figure business. And people will be like, so I don't get it. You coach people on business when you have no business experience. How does that work? And I would have to explain to them, no, I'm not a consultant. I don't tell people how to have successful businesses. I coach them around their limiting beliefs and around their belief systems and the things holding. And I really would have to take 20 minutes to explain and give examples. And they would be like, oh, I get, yeah, that's pretty cool. I've never even heard of that. And I'm like, I know you've never heard of it. And that's why it's so powerful, because there's so few people doing true coaching. And once you learn that, it sets you apart immediately.
Yep.
So anyways, we've rambled on a little bit, but go to joshcoates.com/lifecoach. You can also find Marc on Instagram. He is Marc Hildebrand, Hildebrand. He's also got a podcast. What's your podcast called, Marc? Remind me.
Master Your Mindset with Coach Marc.
Master Your Mindset with Coach Marc. So make sure and check that out. Follow along on his journey. I talk a lot about sales and marketing on this podcast. Over on his podcast, it's all about this coaching element. So if you're loving that, you're into it, make sure and go check him out. Guys, I love you so much. Thanks for hanging with me. Remember that everything you need is already living on the inside, and I'll see you soon. Bye, friends. This is something that if you are willing to fall on your face, you can do it. The question is, are you willing to get back up? My name is Josh, and I'm your push coach. I'm the #1 best-selling author of F Leadership, and for the last 6 years, I've helped over 40,000 entrepreneurs to take ownership of their businesses and create tangible results that have changed their businesses and lives forever. Let's dive in.